After the announcement of Age of Empires 4, all eyes have turned to the other beloved RTS game, that is, Age of Mythology. The community already speculates about the probability of a second installment and what are the eventual civilizations that could be playable in it. As a huge fan of this game, I'm glad to share with you my own thoughts and guesses about a possible sequel of this timeless title. Welcome to a new episode of What It's Going to Be Like, the show where we try to imagine the most accurate shape of an upcoming game, regardless if it's confirmed or not, and we base that on rumors, speculations, and hints from developers. Today we are going to talk about Age of Mythology 2, the eventual sequel of the spin-off from the famous Age of Empires series, following the journey of an Atlantean admiral called Arkantos through different locations and cultures in search of a Cyclops who is the game's main antagonist. And before we continue, I'd like to give a special mention to BKJ Gaming for suggesting the idea of this video. Thanks buddy! Also, why not consider subscribing to the channel and turn on the notifications so you never miss a new video. Microsoft seems to be showing great interest recently for its real-time strategy games. This is proven by the announcement of definitive editions for all the episodes of the Age of Empires series. And of course, let's not forget the reveal trailer of Age of Empires 4. But when it comes to its other RTS game, namely Age of Mythology, it's complete silence. It's as if Microsoft has totally abandoned it and forgot everything related to it. At least this is what many fans seem to think, arguing that Age of Mythology has a smaller player base and therefore the developers prefer to concentrate on the main series. But I disagree with them. Microsoft did not abandon the game. I mean, who would release an expansion pack for a game if there is no intention to support it or have plans for it in the future? And yes, it's true that it took them nearly 14 years to release the Tale of the Dragon pack, but that is precisely what represents a proof that the game is all but abandoned. So everything is possible, and who knows, the game may already be in development. I'm willing to bet that we may hear more about it after the release of the upcoming Age of Empires 4. There are two main ideas about the next setting of Age of Mythology 2 that keep being brought and discussed by the fans. The first is about a direct sequel. AOM 2 should take place in the same universe as the first game, with hints and references to Arkantos' journey. The second idea is all about a total remake from the ground up of the first game, arguing that it was self-contained and does not need any sequel, only graphical enhancements will suffice. However, both parties seem to agree that the next game must contain more civilizations. After all, the world is filled with different beliefs and myths that beg to be exploited. And in this regard, I have three cultures in mind with immense potential that would fit perfectly in the next game. The first is the Hindu civilization, one of the oldest and richest cultures in the world. With its multiple deities and mysticism, I'm sure that Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva will be the perfect rivals to the likes of Zeus, Odin and Horus. Next is the Babylonian civilization, also a very old and influential culture. The Babylonians share some similarities with the Egyptians, like their leaning for building monuments, but has enough uniquenesses to make it stand on its own. And finally, we have the Mesoamericans, and it's needless to say how the potential offered by the Mayans and Aztecs could benefit the setting of AOM 2 and diversifies the already rich gameplay and story of the game. So those were the three civilizations that I'd like to see in Age of Mythology 2. Do you have other cultures in mind? Let me know in the comments. AOM is a real-time strategy game, obviously, that inherits many gameplay features from the main Age of Empires series, but in the same time differs in a number of aspects. As mentioned before, it has a less serious yet charming tone. The civilizations are much fewer compared to Age of Empires, only 3 in the base game, but each one of them is so unique in its gameplay that a tutorial is dedicated to teach you the basics when you switch to a new culture during the story mode. Nothing shows better that point than the way of which each civilization gain the favors of the gods. You know, the necessary resources for creating mythological creatures, among other things. While the Greeks have to pray in their temples to gain the favors, the Egyptians must build monuments for this regard, and finally, the Scandinavians have to prove themselves worthy of the said favors in the battlefield. If new civilizations will be added in Age of Mythology 2, I cannot wait to see what the developers will come up with as new gameplay elements. AOM was an exceptional title. Many RTS fans even prefer it to the main series. And although it's true that Microsoft put it on ice for many long years, and when the time came for its enhanced edition, it was bugged and had many issues, the fact is, there is still hope for a second game, especially with the announcement of Age of Empires 4, as mentioned before. Maybe it's just the idea of Age of Mythology with the current technology that make me want to believe so, but for the time being, believing is all we got. I hope you enjoyed this video. Click a thumbs up if you did, and hit that subscribe button for more content like this one. Thanks for watching.